Right, we are back live to Karonda Sports Bar and Grill here, 2036 Rankin Mill Road in Greensboro. And if you can believe it or not, we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's a great thing. So we are being joined now live with Coach Earl Bates from Southern Guilford High School. Coach Bates, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Go ahead and pull it down just a little bit. There you go. And Coach Bates, you've had an awesome year. You're like one of those legendary guys. I haven't been following the North Carolina high school football scene, but for a couple years, and it was just one of those names that kept coming out. Earl Bates. You would hear in circles. Everybody would start talking about Coach Bates, and then I finally got to see you coach last year with that Moorhead team, and that was one of my favorite teams I've ever seen play. I mean, they were physical, they were heady, they played with discipline, they just a fantastic football team. We'll take a brief moment and talk about your Moorhead team from last year, because you guys went down and shocked the world and beat Havelock, the unbeatable Havelock team, and you guys went down there and did it. Tell me about last year.
Well, I had a senior-heavy team last year. Those guys that played a lot of snaps for me at Moorhead. I had to start a lot of guys as freshmen when I first got there. And you said a lot of things that was very true about that bunch. They were very disciplined, very hard-nosed kids, and we did shock the world when we beat Havelock last year.
Yeah, we were all sitting around. Me and Coach Lippard and Coach Suggs were all down calling the Andrews, the High Point Andrews game, and we're all following along on our phones. And you would have thought that we were right there with you. I mean, it was awesome. It's not that we root against Havelock, but man, you see a team come up like you guys did and being a conference opponent in Northeast. We were big fans. So. You fast forward, you made it to the third round last year. It was, I really thought that you guys had that chance to actually go all the way. But one of the things that I keep hearing with this pilot program of the North Carolina high school football playoff brackets, the pilot program they're doing this year, one of the reasons why they say that they're doing that is to try to avoid a matchup of conference opponents in the first round. And the first thing that popped into my head when they said that, I think I remember a game like that. Moorhead versus Western Alamance last year in the first round, and you guys went into Western Alamance and shocked the world again.
Yes, that was a tough opponent, tough draw for us. Western Alamance, I thought one of the best football teams in the state last year.
They did, and but now if you look at it, we were really drooling over the preliminary brackets that came out, that there would have been a possibility for Northeast Guilford and Southern Guilford to play in the second round, and it would have been at Southern Guilford, and we were all kind of licking our chops, and then everything ended up getting shuffled around. So with your draw, you draw West Carteret. I know a little bit about that team down there. They're from the Emerald Isle area, the Moorhead City. They actually just played West Craven last night, and they were in it early. What do you know about your foe you're going to go against?
Well, I've been watching them since about 2:00 today. They're a spread offense team. We've seen a lot of spread offensive. They like to run 3-4 on defense. I think they got a pretty good football team. I think we're going to have our hands full first round of the playoffs.
Well, and luckily you guys, with your 9-2 record, you get to play a home game, and it looks like if you can keep winning, the only way you're not at home is when you make it all the way to the semifinals.
Well, in the playoffs I'm one of those guys that believe, like most coaches, 1 week at a time. We will concentrate and put all our efforts in on Friday night. We've got to come ready to play, because I think they do a lot of good things. And when you look at their losses, they've lost to two of the top teams in the state in West Craven and Havelock. The other loss was to a 4A school, and then a pretty good 2A school at the beginning of the year. So I think we've got to come ready to play on Friday.
Well, so how does your experience last year with what you went through with Moorhead, how does that help you as personal growth as a coach as you're bringing this team in who hasn't they have had a good program down there at Southern Guilford, but coming in with as much head of steam as you guys are coming into the playoffs, and then to have 3 weeks off. Yes, I said it. 3 weeks off before your first playoff game. Your bye was the last week. Then we had this open week to get these other teams in for the Hurricane Matthew down at the East, and then you guys play. So you're going to have 3 weeks off. I'm assuming that you guys are going to have everybody healthy. How does that help you, what you went through last year? How does that help you prepare your guys to go on this run?
Well, we've got some tough kids. We've got kids that know how to win. That program knows how to win. Actually, the time off has helped us a little bit. We've banged up a little bit. We actually got one of our starting defensive linemen. He's still banged up. Not sure if we're going to have him. And we lost a kid at the last game against Lefford, and he should be back this week. So, we looked at it as if it's kind of helped us these last 2 weeks. We got some things. We feel like we had a good 2 weeks. We're ready to go get back in the game week. You asked me about last year's team with Moorhead. The biggest thing with me is I've been around good football, coming up on the Reedsville under Coach T. So that helped me, that prepared me for what I did at Moorhead, and has helped me with my transition to Southern as well.
Coach Bates, Wyatt Smith with Greensboro Sports. I'm a writer for the Greensboro Sports and cover the teams here in Guilford County. Nice to meet you, Coach. I hadn't talked to you before, but so you say the 3 weeks off helps you or hurts you?
I think it helps us right now because of the injuries that we had, and we had some other guys nicked up, and I think we're close to being full strength, and it kind of worked out in our favor.
So that gives you an upper hand. Then maybe some of these guys are still beat up a little bit, and you guys got that 2.5, 3 weeks, going into the playoffs. You get your guys healthy. Do the kids, you keep their kids in focus, because you guys came into the playoffs really on a roll?
Well, you talking about last year's team?
No, this year's team.
Well, the only thing that hurts you is, we were struggling a little bit offensively, and I thought at the end of the year we started playing extremely well, especially at the quarterback position. Those weeks off, he doesn't get that game experience. We're a little bit concerned about that, but at the same time, we've seen a lot of progress with him in practice these last 2 weeks, and we feel good where we're at with the quarterback position.
Well, what do you think? West Carteret playing last night, so they it's basically a regular week for them. So they had actually they played Thursday night, right? So they played Thursday night against West Craven and lost, and so they're kind of coming in. That West Craven team's good. Any advice you have to give Coach Lippert and the guys over there at Northeast Guilford about what they're going to see out of West Craven?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about West Craven.
Did you see watch the film on West Carteret, West Craven? You watched that?
I did.
I figured you did.
Yeah. And they both look like two very good football teams that they definitely know how to score points. So again, I feel like we got our hand full, and we got to give our best effort on Friday.
Well, you mentioned Coach Teague a few minutes ago, and Coach Teague once again on a roll up there at Reedsville. And later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Coach John Kirby from Eastern Alamance, and we're going to be joined by Doug Robertson, the coach from Eastern Guilford. And I know you guys, if you start talking about coaching trees, you guys all come from that Jimmy Teague coaching tree. Tell me what that, because you guys are like a family. Tell me what that relationship with Coach Teague and how you guys have all matured together and have branched out and done incredible things at every school you've been at.
Well, when I started at Reedsville, Mark Barnes was the head coach. Coached 2 years under Mark Barnes, and I think when you talk about coaches, his name comes up as well in the state of North Carolina. And then Coach T came in my second year, actually my third year at Reedsville, and I spent 20 years at Reedsville and grew a lot as a coach. I learned a lot of things as far as not only X's and O's, but how to get together as a staff. We had a tremendous staff. You mentioned Coach Robertson. Coach Robertson took over when Coach Teague left. Again, it was that camaraderie between coaches that I take away from Reedsville, and I've always tried. I try to build that at Moorhead. I've tried to build that at Southern Guilford. We had to bring a brand new staff into a situation, so getting guys around you that you're familiar with and get along with has gone a long way as far as coaching.
Well, so I know you were a member of that 1981 state championship team at Eastern Guilford.
Correct.
So, and then you look at the Eastern Guilford had never won a conference championship until this year, and the guy that was going to take them to the promised land is your good buddy Doug Robertson. How does that make you feel inside? I mean, that's your alma mater, and your good buddy is the one that's doing it.
And Doug is a tremendous coach. And I'm extremely excited for Eastern Guilford. Extremely excited for him. He's done a tremendous job since he's been at that program. Those guys will do well in the playoffs. I'm really pulling for them to go on. And
aren't you glad they moved them up to the 3 big A's so you don't have to worry about that internal struggle that if you had to go. I mean, it's got to be yes, you want to go out and win, but they haven't won a state championship since 1981, and you were a part of that team.
Well,
what does that do in your mind, Coach Bates? Come on, tell us.
When I saw the bracket come out, I wasn't mad that they were 3AA. They've got a tough football team, but again, we all will be pulling for each other, and hopefully all of us will do well.
All right. Well, so tell me a little bit about your leaders down there at Southern Guilford. Some of the guys that you would consider your stars on your team. What they're doing, where they're going. Do you have any guys, any of your seniors that are going to be moving up to the next level?
Well, we've got our defense has led us all year. We've played pretty good defense. It starts with Makai Sallard, defensive lineman for. He's a tremendous force inside. We've got two good inside linebackers in DeAndre Days and Michael Gerardo also. So, things start in the box for us. We put a lot of pressure on opposing offenses. Offensively, we're led by our left tackle and left guard, Tyrese Brooks and Franklin Mark. And the quarterback, again, I talk about the quarterback position a lot. Andrell Edwards has done a great job making improvement. He has improved each week, and we feel comfortable where he's at right now at the quarterback position.
All right, and as far as where guys are going after graduation, do you know if you have any guys that are committing, moving on, or have any prospects in that direction?
We've got some prospect guys. Those guys I mentioned, coaches have all contacted me about them, especially Seiler and Brooks. So they do have some possibilities. It's just some, you got to see how things are going to work out. Right.
And especially if you can bring home a ring, that would definitely get a lot more attention for them as well, right?
That's everybody's goal.
Yeah,
everybody starts at the beginning of the year, want an opportunity to play for a state championship, and that's what our goal is as well.
Well, and I got to watch that film of the Ledford game, and you guys played with great overall team speed, and what you were talking about with your defense creating good situations for your offense, and then your offense being able to capitalize on it. That final was 40-30, but it felt like it was a lot further apart than that.
Yeah, it did. We made a few mistakes late in the fourth quarter, kind of tightened that game up a little bit, but I thought our kids played extremely hard. It was a very physical football game. Ledford has a very good football team, and I was very pleased at how we played.
Well, just digging into your bracket a little bit, we mentioned. Of course, Northeast Guilford is in there. Eastern Alamance is in the top side of that bracket, then in the East. And you guys are the 3 seed in the Mid-East. And then Eastern Alamance is the 4 seed in the Mid-East. The nice thing about that is the way you guys can play each other is in the semifinals, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so Then we talked a little bit with Coach Lippard about that High Brighton team. They play McMichael in the first round. They're the 1 seed in the West. What are some of the things that jump out at you looking at this bracket? Some of these teams.
Well, I think there's a lot of quality football teams on the East side, especially when you take a look at Havelock. Of course, West Craven, who everybody says right now is the number 1 team in the state, but Rocky Mount, the defending champion, is also on that side. So Eastern Alamance is another tough opponent. So I think whoever comes out is going to be battle tested for sure. You look on the west side, you see Kris. Of course, you mentioned High Brighton. It's a lot of good football teams in small 3A.
And don't forget down here at this bottom, I think everybody in that western part of the state is looking forward to that Tuscola-Pisgah matchup, and we'll have Coach Tommy Persley on a little later on this evening talking to him. He's going to come on by phone. And we talked a little bit with Coach Samick about the 4 small A, how good that eastern bracket is, and I think that you can say that about the 3A. That I think that winner, I don't know who it's going to be, but it might come out of that east.
Yeah, it's a very good chance. Again, the West has some good football teams. It's a lot of good football teams in this bracket.
All right, well, we are being joined here with Coach Earl Bates, and we're going to pause for a brief moment, and we'll be back, and we'll keep Coach Bates right here for a few more minutes, and we'll wrap up. And so you are listening to Greensboro Sports Radio Football in Focus. This is the Playoff Bracket Show. We are still being joined here with Coach Earl Bates from Southern Guilford. This is Kris Walser here with Wyatt Smith, and we are broadcasting live from Karonda's. We're going to have Coach Rothfuss from Northwest Guilford joining us here shortly by phone. And Coach Bates, while we have you here, I mean, you are an expert Reedsville guy. You spent a lot of time up there. You know Coach Teague very well. Let's look a little bit at this 2A bracket and see some of the things that jump out at you.
Well, I think they've got a tremendous team this year. We went against those guys in the Jamboree earlier this year, at the beginning of the year. They're playing good football on both sides of the ball, and I think they're really looking forward to making a run deep in the playoffs.
Anybody in that bracket? I mean, the one that jumps out at me, they're set up with Madison in the first round, and then they've got in that bottom side they got West Stanley and Mountain Heritage, and then on the bottom side of the bracket, the 2 seed in the West is the Brevard Blue Devils, and I know a lot about that team. Ellenberger, the quarterback, he's thrown for over 5,000 yards in his career. He's a 4-year starter at quarterback, and they were able to upset Pisgah, a very strong 3A school, for the last game of the season. They're in that 3A, 2A split bracket or split conference. So Reedsville, Brevard having to come out to Reedsville to play that game. Expect that'd be a great game to go watch. That's for sure. Hopefully, we're all still busy.
Right.
Right.
I look at it also. I see Lincolnton in there. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that's who put Reedsville out last year. So I'm pretty sure those guys would look for a rematch against Lincolnton as well. Yeah,
Lincolnton's playing Thomasville in the first round, and it's Thomasville's first visit back to the playoffs in a little while, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so and then up in that top side, it just doesn't that top side of that 2A bracket just does not look nearly as strong as that bottom side does. I mean, just at first glance. I mean, you got the number 1 seed Northeastern is the 1 seed in the East, and then you have South Columbus is the 1 seed in the Mideast, and that I just don't think that's as comparable as Reedsville as the 1 seed in the Midwest, and then you have Lincolnton as the 1 seed in the West. I just that West side. Once again, like we were talking about brackets with some of the other coaches, that I feel that winner, if you had to pick, that winner is going to come out of that West. Whoever survives that gauntlet that they're going to run, it's probably going to come out of there.
Yeah, I think they would have a very good chance. That's for sure. I do remember years ago playing against a very good South Columbus team while I was at Reedsville. Very good Southwest Onslow team as well, so I'm not sure what type of teams they have now, but they had some tough football teams and the teams that we faced in the playoffs years ago.
Well, once again, we've been joined here with Coach Earl Bates and from Southern Guilford High School. Had another fantastic season. We congratulate you on making the playoffs. Congratulate you on your high seed. It looks like you might get a few home games here and keep rolling on. Anything that you want to say to your fans, your fellow coaches, and your administration before you leave? This is your chance.
Well, we're just looking forward to Friday night right now. We will not look past Friday, that's for sure. We've got to get our guys ready to go, and I wish all my friends, Coach Robinson, Coach Teague, the best of luck in the playoffs.
All right.
Coach, what are you going to do? Just real quick, Coach. What are you going to do to get your guys ready after the the couple of weeks off? How are you expecting them? What are they going to have to do?
Are they going to be rusty? Is that the question?
With the maybe get their mind focused, get where you want it to be.
I think my guys will be ready to go Monday. They're going to see film on West Carteret. They will be ready to go Monday. We'll be ready to go on Friday.
All right.
Good deal, Coach. Thank you.
All right, Coach Bates, thanks for joining us. And once again, this is Kris Walser here with Wyatt Smith, and we're at Karonda Sports Bar, 2036 Rankin Mill Road. If you're out and about, want to come join us, we'll be happy to have you. You're listening to Greensboro Sports Radio, Football in Focus.